for a couple of hours on a beautiful day.
Welcome back to Ripe Avocados. Today we're going to review Final Destination Bloodlines. If you're new to the channel, the way this works, we're going to summarize this, then score it, and then analyze this movie. So if you haven't seen Final Destination Bloodlines, just skip to the score section and look at those if you don't want any spoilers, because we're definitely gonna ruin the movie for you if you don't do that. So Sean's gonna kick it off here with the summary, and then we'll get into it.
Final Destination Bloodlines starts off in the 60s with the grand opening of Skyview, this grand restaurant that's like a mile in the sky. And as any Final Destination movie goes, everyone dies a horrific death caused by some snot-nosed little brat. That kid was actually funny as fuck, though. When he called the security guard fat ass, I started geeking. But everyone dies, but of course it was a premonition, and it follows... it's this one lady, Iris, who has a premonition and saves everyone in that restaurant, and then her granddaughter ends up... Her granddaughter, her cousins, and her family end up at the brunt of death's
Doorstep.
horrible trials and doorstep. Yeah, Death comes back for revenge, and the Stephanie, who is the lead in this movie, is trying to figure out how to save her family, and honestly, she kind of sucks at it. As every Final Destination movie goes. So.
Yeah. I will say, we'll get into the analysis in a second, but we're going to score it first. So we're going to do our entertainment score. This was my highest. I thought this was the most entertaining Final Destination movie I've probably seen. I went 8-1 here.
Yeah, entertainment-wise, I went 8-5. One of my more favorable viewing experiences when it comes to these Final Destination movies.
Nice. And then characters, you mentioned they're all pretty stupid. And that's kind of on purpose, I would say. I went 4-5 for characters.
Characters, I went 6-0. There were only a couple that I enjoyed watching, really.
I liked, Jasper. We'll talk about him in a second. I might have even botched
Eric,
that name.
I know you're talking about Eric.
I'm talking about the emo dude. Yeah, he plays a character named Jasper in The Killing. It's an old Netflix show. Anyways, cinematography, I went 6.2.
Cinematography, I went 7-0.
And then writing, I went 3.1.
Writing, I went 4-5.
All right, so we're right around the same ballpark here. We'll jump into the entertainment first. Like I said, I thought this was one of the more entertaining Final Destination movies, probably the most that I've seen. I've probably seen 3 of these in total, but it seemed as though the magnitude of these deaths just kept getting bigger and bigger. When they visit Iris's estate in the final part of this movie, and it just explodes. It kind of took me by surprise, because most of these are just targeting one person at a time. I guess there's the famous plane crash in the beginning of the first movie, but it really surprised me. I know I used that word already, but I was not expecting this movie to be as good as it was, and I walked away just a little redeemed with going to the theaters to see this one for sure.
Yeah, Death tried to get like a quick triple kill at the end of that movie.
Yeah,
especially at Iris's estate. That was something straight out of a Michael Bay movie. Just explosions everywhere. The teetering RV on the edge of the I thought the lake was gonna get electrocuted or something. Unfortunately, saw Mom's death coming. She was getting destroyed. Anytime the camera is like at a close-up and then it pans out and you see the character right in the middle with a lot of empty space around, I'm like, they're CGIing the fuck out of her death right now. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought there were funny bits in it. The gore was crazy at times. Iris's death was to be fair, Eric's death was the craziest one I've ever seen. The wheelchair and getting sucked into the MRI machine was absolutely insane.
And I did appreciate how with Eric they showed the possibility that he died at his tattoo parlor, and then they
Yes.
pulled a 180 on us and did an out of order death, having his sister get sucked into the trash truck or the garbage truck,
Yeah.
and they made it seem very very linear, like it was going to happen in order, and it obviously goes a little bit out of order. We have the other brother with the peanut allergy die immediately after Eric. And I don't know why, but I actually thought for a second that he was going to live from the MRI room, but that was really stupid predictions on my part, and they both get destroyed, and they die within 5 seconds of each other, as any Final Destination movie will show you. Like, no character is ever safe, and it's literally, these movies are made for entertainment. Like, they are not at all trying to to break any writing bounds or bend anything in terms of groundbreaking Hollywood material.
Well, dude, it was weird too, because like Eric technically, at least what they said in the movie, Eric technically wasn't supposed to die, right? So his mom had sex with someone else. Oh,
Okay.
like it was said, I can't remember what the dude's name was, but it was some guy that Eric was not happy about. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you fucked that dweeb, and I'm his son," something along those lines. But it was funny in the tattoo parlor, like the fact that he got out just because he was wearing his leather jacket and like he was okay. And then yeah, his dude Julia has the a brutal death. Jesus Christ.
Yes, she does have a brutal death, and it's
Oh, it was hilarious when Stephanie was like, as they were walking, she was like catching all the signs of like things that could possibly go wrong, and of course that's what happens to Julia.
yep.
And then, and then after that, this is why the writing was a 4-5, but after that, her brother was like, "Stephanie, like, you just did it right now. You can totally see all the signs." It's like, bro, what? Like, she's just acknowledging shit that's in her area. Like, Death could have done anything to make that happen, but I respect it.
Yeah, they really just lean into the humor aspect of these, and it says a lot about us, I guess, that we find this shit funny. I was cracking up when the kid got smothered by the piano at the
At the
tower.
beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that was a rightful. It seemed like a justified death of a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Don't put that on a T-shirt or on a quote card. But I mean, this kid literally caused an absolute nightmare at this Skyview Tower, and I don't know. It's so ridiculous, but we knew what we were signing up for, and I think they just tied. I think they did a little bit better of a job tying in the characters, which we can get into here in a second, especially the guy who represents Death. I think his name's Tony Todd, the actor. He R.I.P. by the way. He passed away in November last year. He's in, I think, all the Final Destination movies, but
There's a handful of them, yeah.
yeah. So let's jump into the characters here. So I did appreciate how they gave him a backstory and connected him to Iris, almost wrapping all of these Final Destinations into a. I would assume this was probably going to be the last one that they do, but they could always just get.
Ain't no way.
They're going to just get another guy to play Tony Todd's role. It's not going to really feel the same. I wouldn't imagine, but I did like how they gave him that backstory, because in the other ones I'd seen, he kind of reminded me of the Death character in Family Guy, who just shows up and he looks like Scream, but he has the
Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper. Yeah, that's sort of who Tony Todd was, at least in the few other Final Destinations I've seen. Granted, I'm not a diehard fan of this franchise, and it just seemed like a very baseline character up until they gave him this whole character arc and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Final Destination snob or anything along those lines. Like, I haven't. I've watched them when they came out, but like, I don't even think I've seen all of them. Of course, I've seen the first one, and then God, the one that sticks in my mind is, I think it's the second one or the third one where that they're driving on the highway with the logs. I think that has scarred everyone from driving behind those tractor trailer trucks. But yeah, no, Tony Todd's great. He's just kind of got like a Stan Lee type cameo in these movies, but with that tagline of death around him, just being a mortician or whoever.
What do you mean by Stanley?
Stan Lee, bro, the goat.
Oh, Stan Lee. I thought you were talking about Stanley. It's like a first name. I didn't know who you were talking about. No, that's a good connection there. I didn't even think about that. I liked Iris too. I thought she was a pretty interesting character. Although, I mean, her thinking and her actions made kind of no sense to me. At least if I was in this fictional world, I would have just fucking died long before that. What's the point of living if you have to stay
By
in
yourself in a bunker? Yeah,
right. It kind of reminded me of Sinners in a little way, where we were just talking about that. How Smoke was deciding if he wanted to like live as a human in Jim Crow South or just be a vampire. Would you rather live in complete fear at all times in the middle of nowhere or just be dead? And I'd probably choose death if that was my choice. I know it's completely make believe,
but she was kind of sacrificing her life in the outside world for her family. It was for a noble cause. You, on the other hand, would be like, nah, fuck it.
Well, it really just didn't make a whole lot of sense how her kids did not understand the significance of what she was doing. Like, there had to have been examples of her evading death at some point in their childhood to where they would be like, yeah, no, my mom's actually not crazy. We were like driving on the highway and there were logs that almost, came into our car or something like that. Like that seemed a little wishy-washy to me, but again, we're not here to watch Final Destination for the plot. It's just raw, crazy death and wild explosions in this one too.
I will say I am a fan of Iris for sure in this movie, but also just a fan in general of when you have these movies that have a shit ton of sequels and they start to just kind of like make fun of themselves after a while. Fast and Furious did it great in the most recent one where Tyrese is literally like, yo, I think we're invincible. Like, we literally can't die. Like, Dominic Toretto is hooking his Camaro to a rope swinging across a cliff. Tyrese is getting shot at by like 15 guys and he's standing in the middle just like doing this and all the bullets are missing. So they're kind of making fun of it and acknowledging how ridiculous these movies can get. I thought it was hilarious when Stephanie is first talking to Iris and Stephanie's like, I think my grandmother's kind of fucking crazy actually. and Iris is like trying to convince Stephanie, but also acknowledging that death is like MacGyvering its way throughout the room, like knocking something over, a marble rolls, and then all that other little shit happening. And she, like, the magnifying glass was burning the rope, and she's like, I smell something burning, and just like chucks a potato across the room and it knocks the magnifying glass over. It's like, this is insane, but I love it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid.
Completely turn your mind off while you're watching this, but you already know that if you're a Final Destination junkie, or if you're going to see like a really bad horror movie, you're kind of going to laugh. At least that's what I do. And it worked. I will say, I thought the casting of young Iris and old Iris was completely different. Like, I don't think they looked anything alike, but fuck it, who cares,
Yeah. Also, Stephanie's dad's like Asian genes must be the weakest genes of all time. I can kind of see it with the younger son a little bit, but like Stephanie's Hispanic through and through, and her mom's white and her dad's Asian. So I don't know what the fuck happened there.
Also, her brother was pretty dumb too. Like, how many examples did he need to see before believing Stephanie that this was a real thing. I think when his cousin gets launched into a garbage truck, he was like, okay, she actually knows what she's talking about because she called this like Tony Romo on a play-by-play or whatever right before it happened. But nonetheless, I mean, the characters were bad, but every Final Destination movie has, like, the characters don't mean anything. They all die all the time, and it's just not crucial to what they're trying to do here at all. So, cinematography. Oh, did you have one more thing you wanted to add?
I mean, I think just to encapsulate what you were talking about, you don't go to a Final Destination movie to watch the movie for its plot. You go to see crazy deaths, and this movie has that. On top of it, it's hilarious and fun. Like, it's just a good watch for a Final Destination movie.
Yeah, this is a little side note. I do love when I go see horror movies in theaters because a lot of the times when you go to watch just a normal movie, like when I saw Mission Impossible the other day, for example, like they're not going to show you a lot of rated R horror type previews. And you and I both love horror movies, so I got to see Weapons on the big screen. That trailer,
that looks crazy.
I think I sent you that before, and then I saw the Conjuring one. Like these are actually like horror movies that are going to make you think, and I'm getting chills just talking about it. And I do appreciate that as a movie junkie, just going to see horror movies in theaters for that aspect. But it also blows my mind when there's like 10-year-old kids in there with their parents. That's a whole other can of worms, though. All right, cinematography. The only thing I wrote down was there was like way too much CGI, but I kind of liked it.
You wanted people actually dying on this movie.
Yeah, I wanted the real thing. No, I mean it's ridiculous. They over embellish the sounds too to make you cringe even more. But it's super effective, dude. I fucking hate heights. That's my biggest fear by far. So that opening scene, even though I knew generally what was going to happen from the trailer, it was pretty nerve-wracking for me to watch that. I just cannot stand that. I mean, even being in skyscrapers for me, it's fine, but I can't even be within like 5 feet of the window. If I can like see the ground, I freak out. Like I just have to be a little away from the window.
Well, also think about it being like the first time it's opening too. In the 60s. It's like, Jesus Christ, like no human should be up this high. And the elevator guy is like shoving the doors together.
Yeah.
Like you're like, maybe that should be a little bit more secure. He's telling you they finished 5 months ahead of schedule. That shit was hilarious. She's like, is that okay to do?
Yeah, and I love, again, that goes back to the sound. I mean, they make the elevator doors just really loud and creaky, and they always zoom in, and this is an ode to the cinematography. Like they zoom in and show you elements that could be fatal. When they're at the cookout, they show you the shard of glass, like the rake underneath the trampoline. But they're just diligent with the camera work in those cases. And it's effective, you know. Yeah. It's kind of it makes you grin. I don't know why, but I'm like grinning when they're like, oh my god, there's like 5 different ways they can all die here, and why am I smiling? But I am. I don't know.
It's so cool because they show you everything that like is either going to potentially kill him or ends up leading to that person dying, but not in the way you think. Like you think he's gonna drink the glass shard or something and cut his throat up, and they poke fun at that with Julia coughing, but it's just like a bug in her drink. But then it ends up being the thing he steps on, and the rake falls and starts the mower, and it takes his head off.
It sort of has the Scream aspect to me, where that happens a lot in Scream, where you'll expect Scream to be behind one door, and then he finally pops out at the very end, but the characters along the way are just like making the stupidest decisions, and you're expecting Ghostface to just be, I think I called Ghostface Scream, but you know what I was saying. Yeah. You expect Ghostface to just be around every corner, and then they really just tease you for a good 5 minutes before a horrific death that you know is coming. But for whatever reason, they are able to keep pumping these out, and people are going to keep watching them. And You and I are falling right into that mold. So,
Oh, yeah.
all right, let's take a shit on the writing now.
Dude, writing was so bad.
Yeah.
Again, it's a Final Destination movie. I don't care how well or horribly it is written. I mean, if it was written well, it'd just be a plus to it. But, bro, I'm there to see people's bodies get cut in half. Mm-hmm. And that happens within the first 5 minutes of the movie. So I was rocking with it.
Right. No, and objectively speaking, though, like, at Ripe Avocados, we're just looking to judge everything objectively. So, if the writing just sucks, like, point blank. I don't think any Final Destination fan is going to argue this, but we got to talk about it. Like, what the hell is good with Iris's house? Why is it foolproof? They never ever indicate why, at least to my knowledge, why it's a safe haven. And even when Stephanie visits there the first time, she's very careful about letting Stephanie come into the house. But then Stephanie, once Iris has been killed, Stephanie's like, oh, we have to go there because it's safe because Iris lived there for however many years.
Yeah.
That
That
made no
I didn't
sense.
understand either. Like, I thought it was just safe because Iris isolated herself. And, like, first of all, that place looked like a fucking death trap. I was every inch of that place was covered by something that could horrifically kill you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Iris was thinking when she made that place, but you know, they could have bunkered down in their upstairs room. Like, I don't understand what the fuck was going on there with that. But I mean, I guess just like staying away from other people might be a big thing, but death still found its way into her house, but she was able to just stop it constantly.
Yeah. I love how they have this big ass book too, which there's no way in hell it contains all of the scenarios that they're going over. And Stephanie basically covers all the source material in I think 2 minutes of screen time. She's like an expert like that. And it's almost like the Force in Star Wars. Like, Iris is like, oh, death. Like, death is around us. Like, you mentioned the magnifying glass shit. She just, like, chucking potatoes across her room. It's so ridiculous. And then she just lets herself go, and then within 5 seconds, she's speared through the head.
There's just no way in... First of all, the fact that it was just one book and it's, like, this thick. There's no way she covers every possible thing that death can do to kill you. On top of it, she wrote in it like a third grader. Like, she wrote in giant letters diagonally across the paper with giant pictures, which takes up so much space.
It was like...
She wrote,
No, you go.
stay away from big trucks.
It's
Big
like the
trucks
scene...
with logs, bad.
You're gonna love this. It's like the scene from Revenge of the Fallen when Shia LaBeouf is in class and he's just scribbling on the fucking whiteboard or the chalkboard. Just absolutely.
Like, what the fuck is this?
But Stephanie can read it like it's fucking pig Latin.
Yeah.
She's got it. But I kind of like it. They just
Fuck it.
They just lean right into it. The writers definitely have so much fun making these, I complete ode to them. Like, they're not trying to step out of their boundaries at all. But again, we just have to take a shit on it because it is objectively really bad. It doesn't make any sense. Again, this is a new thing. How the fuck did Iris get down from the tower? That's never explained.
Wait, like in the beginning?
Yeah. She saves the kid, she saves Tony Todd, and she somehow escapes the tower.
No, she dies in her premonition.
Okay, so they just never show the actual scene afterwards.
They showed that she just saved a bunch of lives. Now, there could have been a couple that died from, like, whether the floor actually cracked or not, I can't remember, but she tells everyone to, like, get off the dance floor.
I remember that, but you know
Yeah.
how in all the other Final Destinations, I mean, at least the plane scene in the first one, they
Still,
just get...
multiple people die. It's just, like, a small group of them.
Well, yeah, but they get off the plane and then they show afterwards how they're not on it. You know what I mean? They didn't show that scene. They just showed them dangling from the tower, and then we assumed that they were fine. I guess, no, to counter my point...
Well, they were dangling, and then her ring, like, ripped her skin off, and her and the kid fell.
Oh yeah, yeah. But then it's never. So, to my
I
knowledge,
think what happened was that she ended up saving pretty much everyone, and you saw how many people were supposed to die that day, which is why it took so long for it to catch up to Iris. Because in her premonition, Iris and Tony Todd were supposed to be the last people alive, but then they eventually die. So that's why it took forever to get to Iris, which is why she had kids and all that, and they had kids.
so her husband or fiance, assumingly lives and then
Yes.
dies later on tragically.
Yes. But remember, it goes, death catches up to people in the order they were supposed to die. So while the husband died pretty early on from the floor cracking, she doesn't die until way later on after everyone else does.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Like, I understand the premonition stuff. I think in other versions of this movie, they always show what actually ends up happening, and they didn't do that with the tower, you know?
Yeah, it was kind of like people were... Well, she just, like, saved everyone, and then it just faded to black. It was like, yeah, I ended up saving a lot of lives that day. But then people started dying randomly elsewhere.
I mean, counterpoint, if the floor caved in, I'm not a physicist, but I feel like they all still would have fucking died. But
Yeah, I don't know. I could have gotten that wrong, though. She might have, like, gotten everyone off the dance floor before it all, like, ended up shattering, but there was also a lot of other shit popping off in that premonition. But she was kind of ticking boxes. She closed the giant flame with, like, a cover.
so did we assume that Tony Todd's mother dies in the actual events? Because he has so much he has a lot of applause, or that's not the right word, but he respects Iris for saving him, and I'm assuming she had to save him because his mom was not alive. You know?
I think he's just saying that because she ends up saving... She might have explained it in her premonition to him or something. I don't know. But, like, at the same time, I guarantee a lot of people just thought she was kind of crazy. No, but they probably flagged her as a hero for that. Regardless, I think Tony Todd was just... He was just grateful that Iris ended up saving him in her premonition, which made his life last longer.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
no idea, though.
Hand up. I'm a little off there, but I mean, nonetheless, it was still pretty crazy how we're expected to believe that they all live after the floor caves in and they're 50 floors up, and the elevator is the size of, I don't know, a small hallway. The design of this building was just so hilarious.
It was built perfectly for a Final Destination movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and there's probably some other plot holes that I'm not thinking of out of the top of my head. I mean, you could poke plot holes in all of the ways death occurs. Just the coincident aspect of it. It's just so crazy how everything falls into place. But that's sort of how it rolls.
The garbage truck guy having headphones on and just mass swiping right on Tinder.
I was laughing my ass off at that point too.
Yo, Death screwed that guy over bad because that guy is going to jail for a long time.
Yeah, manslaughter probably. He's got a big rap sheet he's got to deal with now. Dude, this is a little off topic. Well, not off topic, but the MRI scene, I saw this thread on Letterboxd where 2 years ago there was a woman, I don't know why, she had a butt plug when she went to get an MRI, and it literally like tore through her insides.
What?
Crazy. So I don't know.
It went up through her body.
It didn't. I don't think it exited her body, but it caused extreme pain. I'll send you the link. I have it actually open right now.
A dude, that should be the title of this episode. Butt plug causes extreme pain. Groundbreaking stuff over here.
So I wonder if they got this from this actual story, or if the writers just were thinking about this in general. I mean, these guys
maybe honestly, just the idea of it, just like, dude, because the wheelchair scene was just so fucking brutal, man. Mm-hmm. So brutal.
Oh, that's another huge plot hole. You would never ever be allowed into an MRI room without a nurse, and they would have to. I've never even gotten an MRI, but those rooms are just so not exclusive, but they don't just let anybody walk into those rooms.
Yeah.
It's like an X-ray room, dude. You can't just like walk in there. That's just
Also, they know they're getting chased by death. The second they walked into that dark room, and then the MRI machine just turns on slowly and very ominously, I'm like, nah, let's get out of here.
yeah.
I'm not fucking with whatever that is.
And I will add, it was kind of stupid, but I liked how they created the final boss aspect of they have to die and get resuscitated to eradicate the cycle.
Yeah.
I know she got it from her like Pig Latin book probably. But
Well, they got that from Tony Todd. JB.
Okay. So it was kind of cool how I was actually kind of following the plot a little bit. I know we're ripping it right now, but it was a little cool how they were like, okay, we're going to eat this peanut and then we're going to resuscitate you, or we're going to eat the Reese's, we're going to resuscitate you. Another awesome, hilarious line. He's like, fuck that shit.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, I'm not eating a peanut.
Yeah, I would do the same shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was...
Dude, give me a king-size Reese's cup. What the fuck?
The writers just nailed a lot of these jokes on the head, and as cheesy as these can be, just the overall tone of this movie felt a little more serious than some of the other ones I've seen. Again, it's not at all a serious movie, but it just felt a lot more put together than some of these other ones, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe that was just me, but I was thoroughly impressed with how much I actually enjoyed this movie, because I mean, the second Final Destination movie I thought was so ass, and rightfully so. I mean, the first one's really kind of ass too, but it's just super campy, and it's a cult classic. So I understand.
Yeah, it is.
I understand the lore behind it. So, but yeah, I don't. Unless you have anything else on writing, we can do the final score and wrap things up here.
No, I got nothing else.
All right, so 6.0 is our final score here. It's a little above average, where you could call that average, I would say. Both of us had high entertainment scores, but
Yeah.
I would recommend this movie to people who are looking for something entertaining to watch. Obviously, it's not for everybody. Obviously, you know the horror fans out there, they will like this, but you really have to have the stomach to be able to handle all the blood and gore that you're going to witness. So just don't go see this with like your grandma or your mom. Probably they might not get the best kick out of it, but you already know that if you're a movie fan.
If you're a fan of the Final Destination movies, you're gonna love this. If you've seen one in the past and you've enjoyed it and you thought maybe the sequels were pretty ass, because some of them are, this movie is a lot better than those. So I think you'll enjoy this.
Well, what do you think of this comparison? I kind of thought it was like Alien Romulus in a way, where those later Alien movies were getting crazy. Like
Yes.
Sigourney Weaver was fucking xenomorphs and nonsense was happening. and then
I mean, yeah, she was fucking xenomorphs.
And then they came out with Romulus, and everyone was drawn right back into the original lore. And this Final Destination movie does that very well. It just goes back to its roots and gives a big ode to Tony Todd, as we keep rightfully mentioning his name. Again, R.I.P. And it's just giving the fans what they want, and I always will respect that out of any producers who are not looking to like ruin the IP and just make it whatever the fuck they want it to be. You know,
It was exactly what you would expect out of Final Destination movie.
yeah. So that's going to do it here. That's episode 45. Go check out all our reviews on our website. It'll be linked in our bio. Go check out our TikTok too and our YouTube shorts. We've appreciated those comments, and especially we were just talking about Kaylee Spaney and Alien Romulus. So yeah, just go check those out, and check us out next Tuesday. We'll be back with another one, and until then, peace out.
Deuces.